Hi, I'm Zahra. Welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before, I'm a YouTuber, an entrepreneur, and a medical doctor. If there was one thing I could tell you that could change the way you felt about life, it's this. You don't have to feel stuck. Today I'm going to tell you about how I went from being completely directionless, completely unsure about what I was solving for, to building a life and a career that felt perfectly aligned and felt like it was meant for me. So these are the 5 steps that helped me get there, and I hope they'll help you too. This whole journey started about 3 or 4 months ago when I was on a family holiday in India. It started with a lot of uncomfortable conversations, and I was actually at a point of being extremely unhappy with where I was in my life. And I thought I had it all planned out, go to medical school, do an internship, become a doctor in OBGYN, become a specialist. It was clear, I thought the path was clear. But the reality is that it never really felt like me. It never really felt like it was something that I wanted. And it wasn't. It's what everybody else expected of me. And so from being completely honest, I had a lot of anxiety and stress around what I was doing with my life because I was too ashamed to acknowledge what I was actually solving for, what it is that I was actually wanting. And the reality is that it was wealth. It's part of the reason why I became a doctor, because I thought that was what I had to do in order to get there. I had fears around money, and it is part of what I was solving for. Could I do more calls? Could I pick up extra work? Could I build a side hustle? And when I did all of this, it sent me down a complete rabbit hole of Instagram. It's when you can make thousands of dollars from your home. And then I started looking at how to build a side hustle. And when you go down this rabbit hole, you start looking at basically what is pyramid or MLM marketing. It's multi-level marketing. And basically what this is that people generate an income from marketing to someone else rather than actually selling a product. I never actually bought any of it. I haven't tested it out. One day that will probably be a video that I do. But for now, it was interesting to just go down this path and actually look and see what was out there. The reality is what I realized is that there is no way to make money easily. It takes hard work, time, dedication, and complete commitment. And so in this, I realized, okay, well, great. If that is what it has to be, I'm going to very much go down this path and start learning and building and figuring out is what I wanted. And so this brings me to step 1, which was just recognizing that I was unhappy, recognizing that where I was in life was not where I wanted to be, but that no one was going to save me and that it was no one else's responsibility to save me, and that what I had to do was figure out what it was that was making me so unhappy and learn how to fix it. I have amazing support. My family, my friends, they all back me completely and want the best for me. But I would never expect anybody to solve my problems. And so really what I had to do was go and figure out, why was I so unhappy? What was it that was really at the crux of it? What was really bringing me down? And so that brings me up to step 2, is that what are you solving for in life? And for me, it was wealth. It was wealth in the sense of time, in the sense of money, in the sense of health, in the sense of freedom. And it felt like a very, very uncomfortable want to admit. It felt arrogant. I wasn't sure. It was very uncomfortable. I've always had very negative associations around wealth and money. But at some point, it felt a lot more comfortable because I kept admitting it, kept understanding that it is just a resource. And once I did that, I managed to get to a point of having a lot more clarity about wealth, what wealth actually meant, a lot more clarity about what it is that, how it is that I would actually get there. And admittedly, it was like a weight had been lifted, that I could finally admit to myself, this is what I'm solving for. And when I could finally admit it to myself, I felt a lot more comfortable being able to admit it to other people. I always think about it like this. There are probably 3 major things that people care about in life: money, relationships, and health. And when someone tells you that they want to lose weight or they want to exercise more, they want to get more fit, we don't judge them. We encourage them. We support them. Someone tells you they want to lose 2 or 3 kilograms. They tell you their story. They tell you how they're going to get there. They're held accountable. And we congratulate them when we do, and we hopefully hold them accountable. Someone tells you that they're wanting to get into a relationship. They want to find love, and they do whatever they need to be able to do that. And so we encourage and we support, and that's amazing. And when someone says they want to make money, in my opinion, in my space, it always felt like a negative goal. It always felt like something that was taboo or bad. And I had a lot of negative associations around money that was something that I had from when I was growing up, and I really had to overcome that and understand what that was about and why I felt that way. So it took a lot of uncomfortable inner work to actually get to that point, but I'm so glad that I did, because I realized that it is just a resource. It's just something that you're allowed to have and want and have a desire for, and that is absolutely fine. And so that actually brought me to step 3, which was actually about changing my habits. And at this point, it was a complete shift in my mindset. I said, okay, well, great. Now, if I'm understanding why I'm unhappy and understanding what it is that I'm solving for, now it's the time to start changing my habits to actually get me on this track to getting what I want. And I work a full-time job. I am Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. I do after-hours calls, 24-hour calls at the hospital. So I had to be quite strategic about how I was spending my time. And the reality is I was spending a lot of time, probably very wastefully, on Instagram, watching TV shows, and when I could be using that time to actually build healthier habits. So I became very purposeful. I came back from this trip and I started generating timetables, lots of outlines, calendars on what my days should look like. And so I tabulated everything, I timelined it out. I was very purposeful to say that every morning I have to do meditation, I have to do yoga on my way to work, listening to podcasts, things that are interesting, things that I want to engage with. And it sounds so ridiculous to say that now that you have to timetable everything out. But it gave me so much more clarity and structure, and I started using my time more effectively. My side hustle and being able to understand, if you go online anywhere, one of the best ways to sell products online is to build a digital product. One of the things that I thought about is that I developed a burnout planner, checklist, detection tool. I created this burnout content. I published it on Wix. Wix is it's a website builder. And you know what happened? You know how much money I got in? Absolutely zero. In this whole process, I now had to go and understand, well, how do I get customers to see my burnout content and so that they will buy my burnout content? And so that brings me to step number 4. Nisha taught me how to actually map out your goals and understand what it is you're solving for in terms of your lifetime goals. It really was that. If you asked me what I wanted in the next 5 or 10 or 15 years, I probably would have said, I probably want a house, I probably want to be married, I probably want to have kids, I probably want to be successful, I probably like to travel. But those are all very vague answers. There's nothing there descriptive. There's nothing there that is intentional. I was unsure of what I was solving for. And so I finally sat down, and it was one of the most uncomfortable experiences I've ever had. And I had to sit with this discomfort and sit with this difficulty for a while I was mapping out these goals and understanding what I was actually doing and being very granular about what it was that I was wanting. And really what I can say is that it was one of the best decisions that I had ever made. I mapped out goals for 2025. I mapped out goals for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 15 years, and what I wanted my life to actually look like. If you're going to a destination, you want to put it in your GPS. You want to know where you're going. You want to find the most efficient and effective way to get there. But if you have no idea where you're going, you'll finally get there. You'll eventually get there, I'm sure, but you'll probably go on the most convoluted path possible because you just didn't know where you were supposed to end up. And so the next step after this, channeling that focus, understanding what I was doing. Once I understood what my goals actually were, I understood what I needed to do in order to get there. Once you start aligning your life with your goals, you start focusing and channeling the energy to get there. So yes, one of the biggest things that I am wanting is wealth, and part of that is perhaps building a business, becoming an entrepreneur, and it's an incredibly scary journey, but it's also exciting. It's exciting knowing where you're going and where you want to be. So currently, I've never felt as motivated and purpose-driven as I have in the last 3 to 4 months. I started a YouTube channel. I created an MVP, a minimal viable product, for a tool that I'm launching in September. I feel healthy. I'm exercising often on a weekly basis. I'm making time for friends and family. I'm reading more often. I'm engaging in more. I'm learning more. I found more creative outlets. I started doing art. I started journaling. I've never journaled in my life, and I've been doing it consistently for the last 50 or so days. I know that my journey is just getting started. And the reality is that the biggest block in my journey was me. And once I figured that out, it was just about starting. Let me know in the comments below what it is you're feeling, what your thoughts are, and where it is that you would start today if you had to. I'm really interested to see where it is you'll land up, what it is you've been thinking, and how it is that these steps would have helped you. I will admit that the last step was probably the easiest. The uncomfortable part was the inner work that all came before that. And so if you're feeling stuck, it just starts with one habit, 1 hour, one journal entry, one book, one walk. I'd love to know what you would start with. Comment down below and let me know where your journey starts. I'd love to hear where you're at and where you're going. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, my latest video should be somewhere up here, and you can subscribe to my channel.